Till,
Hi.
welcome to Las Vegas, London International Awards.
Thank
How
you
do you
very
feel
much.
today?
Very good. Thank you very much. Slightly hangover, but it's
Slightly hangover. Well, that's part of Vegas,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's
yeah.
like the charm of Vegas.
Exactly.
Is this your first year in Vegas?
No, it's second time. I
Second
was here
time.
like maybe 7-8 years ago.
But it's the first year as a jury president.
Yes.
Okay. And you hail from Hamburg.
Correct.
That's kind of like a climate shift.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a
to
rainy
Vegas.
Hamburg, to 40 degrees. Yeah.
Okay, so you're familiar with off camera. We're talking about a little bit. I give you context about like the Ocean series and the
Yep.
7 questions I'm going through. So I would say let's start with the first one
Okay.
and go from there. Okay. Okay. So Moby Dick is an 1851 novel by Herman Melville about Captain Ahab' obsessive quest for revenge against the giant whale. Moby Dick, who bit off his leg and truly show Captain Ahab what death looked like. Now, some ideas feel like whale. They feel like enormous, gigantic,
Yeah.
almost like you can't tame them. I call those ideas personally like Moby Dick ideas. I've wrestled with a few of them throughout my career, and I fail. A few times I succeed, but most I fail. But I always try to seek revenge. When I fail, I always try to come back to that gigantic idea and trying to launch my revenge. Do you have an idea or concept that was too big, too gigantic to tame a few years ago, and now it's still sitting there, and you want to go back there and unleash your revenge?
First of all, I love that. I'm gonna steal that. Call them Moby Dick. I really, that's really lovely. I think that's a really good question. I think we always, I've seen really great ideas that were so big that you kind of like, oh my god, what if this would happen?
Right.
Like, what if we would make this happen? And I think we always push really far and try to make things happen, and sometimes you get to it and sometimes you don't. But I think there are a few. I've been lucky to do a few really gigantic whale ones, and that turned into real life. But also, like, I remember one idea, like back from my time in London, that was so out of this world, but it was also very costly. But like, it was like, if we're gonna pull this off, it would have been amazing. But like,
Did you guys pull it off?
no.
That's the idea. That's the idea. Like chase you down memory lane.
It does, because like, it does chase me a little bit, because it's kind of those kind of things where you're like, still nobody has done it. Like, know how you sometimes come up with ideas and then you somehow
2 years after,
2 years after, another agency, another creative
Yeah.
kind of team, like they do an idea that's similar, but
Absolutely.
and you're like, shit, like I really wish I would have done that.
Because I actually do believe that there is a theory that say that you don't actually come up with idea. David Lynch talked about that quite extensively, but you just fish for idea.
Yeah.
Ideas are there.
Yeah.
And then you got like, this glimpse and then you catch an idea, and then suddenly all other like little and tiny micro ideas comes
Yeah.
around like a fish. But eventually, like if you don't catch that piece of an idea, someone else will.
Yeah.
In like 2 or 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah.
Like the idea always been there. You
Yeah.
just weren't able to
Yeah.
catch it.
Yeah, no, I agree on that 100%. I think it's like, you catch ideas, and then, I mean, often ideas are a catch of multiple things,
Right.
You put together, and then something new kind of
Right.
appears. But like, if you don't catch it, somebody else will at one point.
And that brings me to Dennis Hopper, another great guy. We mentioned David Lynch, but like Dennis Hopper is a great actor.
Yeah.
He actually started like his career in San Diego as a theater actor.
Yeah.
Well, a few people know this, but I know because I live in San Diego, so I was like, I'm kind of proudly happy that's like he started his career there. But He once said, you had to keep feeding your eyes and soul with art, poetry, films, and people having fun. Having fun is an art. Now, these words take me back to a place I forget, because it seems that in advertising there is less time to feed your eyes, and most of the time is spent in meeting, in dry settings, in talking, in corporate environments, and consequently, the fun fades away. What's your take on this? Like, how much fun have you lost along the way once you get to like managing director, chief creative officer?
I mean, definitely lost a bit of the fun on the way, but to be honest, I think I always say, like, to young creatives and like the next generation, I think it's the best job in the world, like, because and I think fun plays a major role. I think we lost fun a little bit in advertising in general, like everything got so serious and like all the ads becoming serious and so on. I think we need to come back. Like when I grew up, we had a show in Germany called The Funniest Commercials Around the World.
I think we had in Italy too.
Yeah, maybe there was a format
because a
around.
lot of like TV formats that it's adopted in Germany. Probably. Actually, they adopted in Italy too. I mean, that's the same European TV
Probably.
format.
It's probably the same show. They're just like, different host. But I grew up with this, and it was fun. It was 1 hour a week where you're just laughing, and like that kind of made me like I really want to go to advertising as well.
But industry has changed.
Yeah, industry has changed. I think there's there's a glimpse of hope in my view that we come back to that a little bit. I think we went through a whole 10, 15 years of like, saving the world and like trying to be, very, cold and serious. But I think there's a bit of lightness coming back. So, but yeah, I mean, to on a personal level, managing a place versus like being, purely creative is definitely a lot of those.
How do you cope with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I try to surround myself with, the fun people and still trying to get out most of the good stuff out of it, or I just don't attend those boring meetings.
That's what because I can't cope with that. It was one of the hardest things that I had to face, like growing up, like professionally. I couldn't cope with the even only spending a day without creating anything, but sitting in meetings. It truly depressed me.
No, it sucks out the energy.
It sucks the energy.
Also the from the creativity point of view, right? Like you're really like, oh my God, why I'm doing this and stuff. But I think always, I feel like I taught myself of like, I know these meetings exist, but if I look at what could be the potential outcome, like some great project, a good way of... I'm like, you know what? I just don't care about that meeting and just like. Yeah,
that's a good cope mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay, sea level rises throughout history have obliterated fascinating technologies, like these used to build like the Great Pyramids. Some people think that the technology that was known back then allowed to build the Great Pyramids is a technology that belonged to a civilization that got wiped out, and so that knowledge got wiped out. There is actually an entire section from the Joe Rogan Experience podcast where they talk about this knowledge that was acquired and then completely lost.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah, it's a great, like, very, very polarizing Joe Rogan, and but the way he interact with his guest, I found like refreshing and completely unique.
Yeah,
we still don't know how they transported like those giant blocks. And these lost technologies have become part of like a geological status. Now, think of advertising. If a metaphorical sea level rise out of everything we have developed so far, and you had to start everything over because you lost all the knowledge, where would you begin again in the world of advertising?
The world-
Everything got wiped out. We don't know anything anymore. There is no AI. There is no billboard and poster. There is nothing
Yeah.
of that knowledge. You have a complete blank canvas. You have to put the first stone down. What would
So-
that be?
Oh, that's a lovely. I think my first thing is to get rid of cost controlling. That's a good question. I mean,
I think well, let me help you here. Like you may want everything like revolve around the idea.
Yeah.
So probably the very first thing is you gotta have an idea about something,
Yeah.
and then start building up
yeah,
over this idea like brick of Lego, and then that idea effectively is gonna inform you and give you some knowledge to build other ideas and so on and so forth. Like almost like, are you familiar with what is called like cellular automata?
no.
Cellular automata is are you familiar with the Games of Life, developed by John Conway? It's a game where it shows that there is a grid,
Yeah.
and this grid is formed by individual cell, and an individual cell die or stay alive depending on the neighbor cell.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And so it's all like combination, and but you see how in a time lapse the building probabilities of this cell develop like an entire structure. So some scientists believe that if you embrace the theory of the simulation theory of the universe, that we live in a simulation reality, the cellular automata explain like this grid and like how
right.
the universe
Yeah.
formed. It's a very complicated matter, but like it's pretty much like this cell have a very simple set of rules that create a very complex structure.
Yeah. All right.
I lost my way now. I
No,
don't
no,
remember
but
what
I
asked
love
you.
I love listening to that. I mean, I think that I think I love all those the whole
Yeah, so
theory.
we're talking about idea and building blocks.
Yeah.
That's how I got there. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think you're right. Like starting off with, like an idea, and then you build from there.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing more powerful than an idea.
Yeah. Okay, the moon always shows us the same face because
Yep.
it's tidally locked
Yeah.
with this revolution, right? If you lived on the far side, you would never see Earth. Unlike the moon, we can show different faces as human beings. We
Yeah.
have hundreds of faces, depending on who we interact with,
Yeah.
depending where we are, what we are doing at any given moment. Do you always show the same face at work, or do you have different faces in different situations?
I think there's always different faces.
Always different faces.
I think you have a set of faces probably, but I think you have to stay true to yourself as well. But I think sometimes you need to navigate those
Right.
mazes of people and clients and stuff like this, and at least pretend sometimes, and then just step them from the back.
There is a beautiful interview that Johnny Depp gave about Marlon Brando. They were very, very good friends. And he say at one point that Marlon asked Johnny, like, how many movies do you make a year? And Johnny say, I don't know, like maybe 3-4 movies. And Marlon say, too many. And he was like, well, why too many? And then Marlon replied, because we have too many, we have just like a few faces in our pocket. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because a guy that can interpret so many roles believe that like there is just an amount of faces that you can have and you can switch
Yeah.
on and off, but not an infinite amount of faces.
Yeah.
And that's why.
No, I agree. But I actually think it's a true statement for a lot of actors and actresses, right? Like you even some of the biggest stars, you can just put them into like 4 or 5 faces, and they are like always repeating those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do you think like this is like a moment of like digressing, but A couple years ago, I actually gave lecture to Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. Like, I'm a true believer that we are not that different as a creative. We are not that different from actor and from method acting, actually, because when you get a brief and you get assigned to a brief, you are about to enter a universe that might be not close to you. Say, for instance, like, Dove, I don't know, like, and you start reading everything about it. You start acquiring knowledge. You start thinking as the person that eventually the consumer, the audience. You start talking. If you're a writer, you need to talk and write. So for 6-7 months along that assignment is going to work. You know everything about that.
You adapt to that.
You adapt to that.
No, 100%.
And then you switch off, go onto another project, and you completely forget that kind of knowledge.
But it's great you say that, because I absolutely love this becoming like expert for a moment for the most diverse topics, like cat food, banking, cars,
absolutely,
sneakers,
and for a short amount of time.
And you're like, I know everything about it. And then the project is done, you're like, I can't even remember.
So I remember I built this lecture, and it was very interesting, about the similarity between method acting and being a creative. And I truly believe there is something in there. Anyway, okay. So when particles in water become part of a wave, they move up and down, transferring kinetic energy. Now together, their energy creates a powerful force. Picture a creative department where each member is a particle moving with kinetic energy. What would be the true, honest role of a chief creative officer within this department?
I think it's probably like a director.
A director?
Like a what is the conductor?
The conductor.
Potentially.
What would be then what about the creative director? There is before getting to your role, there is a massive amount of layers, right? Because you go probably ECD, GCD, CD.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how many conductors do you have in this?
No, I mean it's true, but I think my role is, or that this CCO role is further removed, right? Like I just try to push people in certain
certain
directions and then let go.
So you are there pushing the particles.
Yeah, a little bit.
Go north.
Yeah,
go
or just.
I like the idea. Okay, look, in the movie Birdman, Emma Stone delivered have you watched the movie Birdman? Of course. There is an amazing monologue delivered by Emma Stone.
Yeah.
And during the monologue, she say a few words that are very they hold a great significance, a great meaning. And say you're not dying for the sake of art. You are doing this because you want to feel relevant again. He's talking to his dad. You're doing this because you are scared to death, like the rest of us, that you don't matter. Do you think that the obsession to be relevant, to matter, is something inherent to our industry and does affect you, even on a personal level? Now you are the managing director of Serviceplan. It's a good agency. Is on the trade every other day. You're relevant. But would it be a torture to think of yourself as a creative and not be relevant anymore? Or it doesn't matter?
I think in general our industry has quite an obsession to think they are relevant and more relevant than others. I mean, how many industries of the world create so many award shows for themselves?
Right.
That just is a craving for the work we do is relevance. Let me hold up a trophy and be applauded. I don't think there are doctors who have a lot of award shows. Maybe they exist, but I don't know. But I think we are an industry that is that. But on the flip side, I think we are doing a lot of, if the work is good and like, it can change companies and,
Right.
stuff. So, but it's always
If you lost your relevance, your relevancy, would you be still creating,
me personally.
you personally, or you would stop creating? Do you need to be relevant to create, to be a creator on a personal level, or you don't? I mean, I give an example. Many people like, ask. I remember when J.D. Salinger as a writer, of course, like there was a time where it was like on every page news when like, Catcher in the Rye came out. And then he completely obliterated his fame. He killed his relevancy and he retired from public writing. But then I think during an interview they asked him like, so you quit writing? He said like, no, I write every single day, but I just write for me. So he was not affected by relevancy at all. But some people, some critics, seems that that's their engine.
Yeah.
That's what they need to create.
I think it's probably is my engine, because in a way, because I'm not an artist, like I could never be just an artist, like, and just doing things. But even then, I feel like, probably most of them still feel they have to create something, that has some meaning and relevance, so they can push them.
So let me ask you this question. You say, I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
If someone not in the industry come to you and say, what are you? Of course you won't say I'm a chief creative officer, but you need to explain what does it do. What will be the quickest answer you give this person? What? Because my quickest answer is like, I'm a writer. That's all I do, because all my life throughout my careers, even as a creative, I wrote my way out of everything. And so I always say I'm a writer, and they ask, what do you write? Oh, I write for advertising.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah.
What are you?
I knew I should have studied writing. Anyway, this is the moment I'm like, I need a better answer.
No, it's like there is not better of like,
Yeah, it is a bit of a, like, people who are not in the industry and like even, like when I started, art direction and stuff, like I always wanted to be like a visual kind of create worlds, and that was always my thing. Like from a kid to now, like I love creating stories and worlds. So more on the visual side than on a writing side.
But I have a definition for you. We talk about J.D. Salinger. There is like the reason why it was called like Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
Because at one point, like, Alden Caulfield talked to his sister, little sister Faye, during like one night, came home.
Yeah.
And the little sister asked him, what would you really want to do in life? Like, you're wasting your time. And he gave the most beautiful answer any character of any novel I could have given. It was, well, you see, when there are kids playing with the ball in a field of rye, when the ball go over the cliff, I want to stand right on the edge and make sure that the kids don't fall off the cliff. So I want to actually catch the ball with the kid and bring it back into the field, and that's why the Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
So I think you are an idea catcher. So you want to make sure that, like, the idea doesn't go off the field, off the cliff, and maybe you're standing there on the edge and you bring in this idea every time inside the field.
Yeah, I love that. That's really nice. I was just thinking, like, I think if you would ask me, like, I probably would say I solve problems.
That's good.
That
sounds like Pulp Fiction, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll take care of you. I'll solve problem. I'll make it go away. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, look, last question, and then I'll let you off the hook. That at Sea is the perfect escape into Andrea Camilleri's unforgettable Sicily. Camilleri was a very good Italian writer that rose throughout the years, wrote many books, noir. It was a genre that like is very much popular in Italy. But he wrote book about Sicily and like create like this character, the Montalbano detective that like lived in Sicily. because he was from Sicily. And you are here at Lia Awards as the jury president of Ambient Activation, Billboard, Poster, and Print. You must heard about this saying, print is dead, which sounds very much like an headline from like a Camilleri book. So play now the Camilleri kind of writer for me. As jury president, tell me why print is not dead. And if it's alive, if you believe that print is alive, as assume you do, otherwise you wouldn't be here like judging, what key visual would you use to represent the essence of the Lia Awards? Just like if you were to make a key visual of the Lia Awards essence, what would you use?
So maybe I start off with why print isn't dead.
Right. Tell me that.
I think, I funny enough, had the discussion yesterday at the bar. Maybe that was because I'm hangover. I think the beauty of print or even like posters is the simplicity. You have to get on point.
Of course.
And I think a lot of the other stuff is getting complicated and, you know, very complex and stuff like this. But I really love the power of the very, you know, beautiful written, often humorous line that's on a poster or a print, and like a beautiful crafted visual, and you walk by it and you get it, or you open up the magazine and you see
That's
it.
why back in the day we used to say print is king.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's funny, like it's definitely back to that point as well, where I think the simplicity and the power of a good line with a good image is so quick, and you know, I think that's the highest level of craft. I think a lot of the cases, you know, agencies create are kind of, you know, they never come to the point of like, what are you actually, you know, trying to do.
And if you were to pick up like a key visual for these, to describe Lia in Vegas,
it's probably casino. I don't know. I find this place is such a odd place. Like every time coming here, it's like
it's a place of extreme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, Till, thank you so much for being part of like the Ocean series. Like I wish you the best and like a great continuation, like on judging the work.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.